the story of David and Goliath. It is one of the most iconic underdog tales in human history, taught 2 generations as the ultimate example of faith triumphing over brute force. A young shepherd, armed with only a sling and a few stones, fells a giant Philistine warrior, inspiring his nation to victory. But what if the story we know is incomplete? What if this legendary battle was not just a miracle of faith, but also a masterful display of strategy and the use of a secret weapon that has been hiding in plain sight for centuries? Prepare to question what you've always known about David and Goliath, as we investigate the historical evidence and the brilliant tactics that may have led to the giant's fall. Chapter 1. The stage of the battle. An army in panic. To understand the giant's fall, we must first understand his shadow. Our story begins in the valley of Elah, where 2 armies, the Israelites and the Philistines, are locked in a tense stalemate. For 40 days, the Philistine champion, a man named Goliath of Gath, has strode out and paralyzed the Israelite forces. With fear, this chapter sets the scene, describing the sheer terror inspired by the giant. He was a walking mountain of bronze armor, a seasoned warrior whose challenge for single combat went unanswered day after day. We explore the psychological impact on King Saul's army, their dwindling morale, and the palpable sense of hopelessness. The stage was not just a battlefield, it was a theater of fear, and Goliath was its star performer. Chapter 2. The unexpected. Arrival. David, the shepherd on a battlefield. Into this theater of fear walks an unlikely protagonist. We introduce David not as a naive boy, but as a shepherd hardened by the realities of protecting his flock. In the ancient world, a shepherd was not a gentle bystander. He was the first and last line of defense against lions, bears, and other predators. David's arrival on the battlefield is not by chance. He is sent by his father to deliver supplies to his older brothers. This chapter focuses on his unique reaction to Goliath's challenge. While the trained soldiers cowered in fear, David, the outsider, reacted with righteous indignation. His perspective was different. He saw not an unbeatable giant, but a blasphemous enemy defying his God. This mindset was the first component of his secret weapon. What does David's immediate and fearless reaction compared to the soldier's fear tell us about the nature of true courage? Is it the absence of fear or the conviction in a higher purpose? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Chapter 3. The choice of weapon. More than just a sling. When David volunteers to fight Goliath, he famously rejects King Saul's traditional armor and sword. Instead, he chooses his shepherd's staff and his sling. This chapter analyzes David's weapon of choice. To the armored warriors, a sling might have seemed like a child's toy. This was a critical miscalculation. We explore the sling not as a toy, but as a devastatingly effective long-range weapon. In the hands of an expert and a shepherd who defended his flock from predators would have been an expert. A sling could hurl a projectile at speeds comparable to a modern handgun, lethal accuracy. The stones he chose from the brook were not pebbles, they were carefully selected ammunition. The sling wasn't a symbol of weakness. It was a projectile weapon chosen to negate the giant's primary advantage: close quarters combat. Thank you for joining us on this investigation. We have established David's mindset and the lethal potential of his chosen weapon. But the secret to his victory may lie not just in his own strengths, but in the hidden weaknesses of his opponent. The giant's greatest asset was also his greatest liability. Chapter 4. The giant's blind spot. Exposing Goliath's vulnerabilities. Now, we turn our investigative lens on Goliath himself. For centuries, he has been depicted as an invincible titan. Was he? Yes. This chapter explores the fraud of Goliath's perceived invincibility, examining modern medical theories about his condition. Many scholars now suggest that Goliath may have suffered from acromegaly, a form of gigantism caused by a tumor on the pituitary gland. This condition, while creating immense size, often comes with debilitating side effects, most notably vision problems, including double vision or severe nearsightedness. Suddenly, Goliath's need for an attendant to lead him, and his lumbering movements make perfect sense. He may have been a giant, but he may also have been a partially blind and clumsy one. His size was his strength, but it came at a terrible cost. Chapter 5. The Decisive Blow. The strategy behind the stone. This brings us to the final dramatic confrontation. David does not charge, he runs, closing the distance to get within his weapon's effective range. Goliath, likely with impaired vision, is slow to react. This chapter re-examines the climactic moment. Was David's shot to the forehead a 1 in a million lucky strike? Or was it a calculated attack on the most logical, unprotected weak point? Goliath's helmet would have been heavy, likely without a full face guard to allow for better breathing and vision. The forehead was an open target. David, a master of his projectile weapon, facing a large, slow-moving target with poor eyesight, had a much higher probability of success than the story traditionally suggests. The stone stunned the giant, felling him, and David's subsequent use of Goliath's own sword to behead him was the final, brutal act of a strategic victory. Viewed through this new lens, the story of David and Goliath transforms from a simple tale of faith against might into a masterclass in asymmetric warfare. The fraud of Goliath was his illusion of invincibility, which masked his underlying vulnerabilities. And the secret weapon David truly used was not just a stone. It was a sophisticated combination of superior technology, the long-range sling, tactical intelligence refusing close combat, strategic analysis exploiting his opponent's weakness, and an unshakable courage born of conviction. David didn't just get lucky. He was smarter. He reminds us that the true path to victory often lies not in matching your opponent's strength, but in brilliantly exploiting their greatest weakness.